And now we are joined by Nigeria's Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase. Mr. Arase, thank you for joining us. In your inaugural speech as acting IGP, you expressed your resolve to fight corruption in the force. How do you intend to achieve this?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, Inspector General of Police, Mr.
You are not very
Arase.
clear.
Yes, in your inaugural speech as acting Inspector General of Police, you expressed resolve to fight corruption in the force. How do you intend to achieve this?
Well, yes, I did say I was going to, discourage corruption, and that this administration is not going to tolerate it in whatever, guise. One of the things we intend to do in fighting corruption is to ensure that the welfare of the men, they go pari passu with the concept of fighting corruption. We were able to remove the roadblocks across the length and breadth of the country. We've placed motorized patrols, the safer highways, and we are insisting that those vehicles has to be fueled. The men who man those vehicles, their welfare has to be catered for. That way, we'll be able to discourage the issues of corruption. Secondly, in our investigation, the realm of investigations, we want to ensure that there is restorative justice, and that we don't allow ourselves to dabble into civil and commercial matters. Those are the areas where corruption and pre-trial detention are very prevalent.
All right. I'm sure you would also want to address the issue of, bribe taking within the force itself, which more or less has been, is also a branch of the corruption, which no doubt you are referring to. The Nigeria police have, been indicted in the past for, taking of bribes as a prevention to their discharge of duties. How will your leadership now address that?
Well, the issue of bribe is a systemic thing. It's not restricted to the Nigerian Police Force as an organization. But you should also realize that the Nigerian Police Force is the only organization that can think of as an internal self-cleansing mechanism for dealing with issues of bribery and corruption. We have already also set up a tech
the first major
ensure the and in security space, which is www.stopthebribes.net. So we are open to public accountability. We also expect that Nigerians, will not, corrupt the policemen that they come in contact with. It takes two to tango. Whenever you are asked to give bribe, you also reserve a right to say, no, your boss has said, we shouldn't give it. And there are platforms for you to connect with us and ensure that bribe taking is encouraged.
Now, I'd like to take you back to your earlier response to your approaches to fighting corruption. You mentioned that the force has removed roadblocks across the length and breadth of the country. But has it quite addressed the consequences of the removal of roadblocks? I'm talking specifically about the increase in the spate of car thefts. The police are unable to trace cars that are stolen as a result of the removal of the roadblocks. And the increase, the country has seen an increase in car theft as a result of this removal of roadblocks. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think there's a correlation between the increase in car theft and removal of roadblock, because the statistics available to us has not actually proven that when those roadblocks were there, they were means of stopping, car theft. What I think we should emphasize is us upping our intelligence network, ensuring that our investigation is intelligence-led, that our officers, in various commands, that they adopt crime mapping as a policing strategy. That way they will be able to reduce this incident of cartel. But I don't really know where you are getting your statistics of this cartel from, because it's really, at variance with what I have, from the statistics that are being produced, sent to me on a daily basis by the various commissioners of police. But be that as it may, as it were. Removing roadblocks does not mean, the policemen will not be involved in anti-crime patrols, manning their beats, ensuring that they have motorized patrols, ensuring that, the security space is dominated at all times. It's all it's just saying is that the nuisance, and caused by the total blockage of, the highways is not in tandem with international best practices.
And then there's also allegations of human rights abuses leveled at the quarters of the Nigeria police, not excluding the state of the detention facilities that the many prison facilities or many police stations are in, which also amounts to abuse of human rights. How are you going to address this?
I had mentioned earlier that I have a zero tolerance for pre-trial detentions. And I am more concerned about restorative justice. And when I'm talking about pre-trial detentions, what I'm saying in essence is that I want the operations of my officers and men in the investigation departments across the country to be intelligence-led. What I mean by being intelligence-led is that, they must be able to elicit sufficient evidence before people are invited for interrogation. And whenever they are invited for interrogation, they must, have some stipulated period, which is constitutionally approved, before they are kept in custody. So, these things they are no one-stop fix, it's not a quick fix thing. It has to do with a paradigm shift in policing. It has to do with, changing the mindset of, the way we used to do our policing business. It's a change thing, and I expect that with the right capacity building and the right training programs in place, we'll be able to get there.
Now, just before we let you go, sir, how do you intend to handle the issue of insecurity in Ekiti State?
I beg your pardon?
How do you intend to handle the issue of insecurity in Ekiti State?
In which state?
Ekiti.
Ekiti. As I said earlier, there is no, society that is totally crime-free. The incidences of kidnapping that occurred in Ekiti some 2-3 weeks ago, we intervened when I spoke to the governor of the state. I sent him. I sent an additional man there, supported by a technical platform, and through community partnership and the collaboration of other security stakeholders in the state. This weekend, we were able to rescue the 10 people who were kidnapped, and presently we are sanitizing the security environment in the Ekiti State, and I can assure you that the place is very, very safe now.
Of course, you didn't mention, or how would you also react now to reports that that some of the released hostages actually, paid the demanded ransoms?
They never did. They never did. And even the people who adopted them, they are presently on the run, and we've been able to arrest some people who are, connected to them. They never paid any ransom. We actually rescued them from the forest where they were being kept before the negotiation were going on. There was nothing like a ransom being paid by anybody.
Many thanks now for your time. We've been speaking with Nigeria's new Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, and he has been fielding questions from us about how he will execute his duties as Nigeria's new police boss. Many thanks again.